tips and tricks, and how to decrease stress. All right. So anyway, the diet is the hardest part of being fit, losing fat. It's the hardest part. It sucks. Okay, there's just no way around it. But hang on a second. Yeah. All right. So yeah, there's no way around it. But once you get into a groove with it, it's not as hard as you think. A lot of it's just skills, and once you have the skills, then it's easier to do anything, right? So dieting is a skill, just like shooting a basketball is a skill and jumping rope is a skill, and you can learn the skills. So the first thing that we need to do, step one, what are your maintenance calories? All right, so these are the calories that your body needs every single day. So if you're just lay in bed all day long and you do nothing, it takes a lot of calories to pump your heart and use your brain and pump your lungs and just be alive, right? It takes a lot of calories to do that. And then we have calories from exercise. We have calories from just moving around, doing stuff, doing the laundry, whatever, taking out the trash, just moving around. And we have calories. It takes calories when you eat food, it takes calories to digest that food. So now we add all that together, and that's your maintenance calories. So if you eat, let's just say for easy numbers, that number is 2,000. It's not 2,000, but let's just say it is. If that number is 2,000 calories per day and you eat 2,000 calories per day, you will not lose weight. Right? Your weight might fluctuate a little bit. You might hold on to a little bit of water, but like you're not going to change your body composition if you're eating that. Right now, if you're starting to lift weights, you can build some muscle, and if your weight stays the same, the weight on the scale is not going to change. So if we lose weight, or sorry, in order to lose weight, we need to eat less calories than those maintenance calories, right? So that's step one. What's maintenance? Then we say, okay, cool. Now, do I want to lose weight or do I want to gain weight? So let's say the number's at 2,000, right? If that number's at 2,000 and you want to gain weight, you need to eat more than 2,000. Pretty straightforward, right? If you want to lose weight, Mary, I'm going to mute you.
Don't do that to me.
Mary Bear. There we go. I don't know why. Is everybody's videos turned off? Or is they just turned off on my end? Let's see.
I think they're all turned off.
Do I need to turn that on myself? I want to see you guys.
We'd have to turn them on independently.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, you can if you want. You don't have to if you need to. Anyway, welcome, Mary Bear. Listen, Mary Bear is an OG Red 5 athlete before Red 5 was even a thing. Mary Bear is a true gangster. She's in the family forever. Anyway, all right. So anyway, we have our maintenance calories, and if you want to lose weight, you need to eat less calories than your body needs. But your body still needs those calories, right? So again, let's say you need 2,000 calories to operate. Your body is going to get those 2,000 calories. It's going to get them. So if you eat 1,500 calories, where's it going to make up that 500 calorie difference? It has to make it up from somewhere. So your body's going to start to use fat stores and break that down to use as energy to make up the difference. That's essentially how fat loss works, right? It's easier said than done, but that's how it goes, right? All right, so if you go 2,000 and then you drop the weight, you go to 800 calories, that's a lot of deficit that needs to be made up. So that's now too much for your body to be like, okay, let's just pull it from fat. So now your body's going to be like, okay, let's start shutting down some systems that are going to make it so you burn less calories. So now the calories that you need every single day, instead of 2,000, we're only going to need like 1,600 or 1,500. We're going to start to really slow things down so you burn less calories. You have to stay alive, right? So these are the calories that you burn if you just lay in bed all day. That's not going to change too much. But you're going to start to get really fatigued. You're going to lose motivation to do other things. You're going to start to lose muscle instead of fat, because muscle takes a lot of calories to just have versus fat, right, in order to just maintain and hold it. So your body's going to start shutting down some systems. So we got to say, okay, what's the right amount of deficit that we're kind of mostly pulling from fat? That's how it goes, right? So again, 2,000 is just a made up number. This is our maintenance number. So a good like deficit is going to be about 3 to 500 calories. So the goal is let's set a 500 calorie deficit, and that way if you fuck it up a little bit, well, you're still in a deficit and you're still cutting fat, but maybe just not as rapidly as you would if you were at 500, right? But we're still good. So that's where you want to be. So if you're like, here's the perfect way to do it, and you slip up a little bit, that's fine. Don't beat yourself up. You're still making progress. So now the question becomes, okay, how do we make it as easy as possible to maintain? How do we make it as easy as possible to execute on, let's say again, 2,000, and we're going to take 1,500. These are just made up numbers, right? So don't get in that mindset. But how do we make it as easy as possible to execute that? So that's kind of what this is about here. So the first thing is you want to have a set number of meals per day. It's all about routine and structure and doing things a very particular way. And if you do it like that every single day, you're much more likely to succeed. That's a skill to this. So if you want to do, I do 6 meals a day. You don't have to do 6, you can do 1 meal a day. It doesn't matter. You can do 3 meals, 5 meals. So you want to pick a number of meals that works for you and your life and your schedule and things like that are realistic, that you can now go back and recreate this same day every single day, right? So for me, I do 6, but really let's break it down. Are they really like 6 full meals? No, not really. So I do like a bedtime meal. So now I do like some oatmeal, and I mix some protein in there and a little bit of peanut butter, right? So it's not like a for real, I mean, it's still a meal, but it's not like I'm cooking up like a salad and chicken, cordon bleu, you know what I mean? I'm just mixing up some stuff. So anyway, I have a bedtime meal, I have a post-workout meal that's just protein mixed with water. I put creatine in there as well, but that's no calories. So protein mixed with water, and then I do some snacks. I do like some rice cakes or some pretzel sticks, or a combination of the two is usually what I do. So post-workout, immediately post-workout, your body's really begging for these calories that just burned. So now to recover faster, that's when you can have a lot of carbs. We'll get into that in a minute. So those are 2 meals already that are kind of like not for real meals, right? For me to put some rice cakes in a Tupperware and put some protein powder in a shaker and throw it in my gym bag before I leave takes 2 seconds. My nighttime meal, super easy. I put oats in a bowl, put water in there, I throw in the microwave, and put 2 scoops of protein, mix up, and eat it. So now 2 of the 6, a third of my meals are super easy. Then I have a breakfast meal. So I think breakfast is one of the most important meals of the day, right? It's not like, well, if you eat breakfast, you have all these super fat-burning properties. No, it's just about setting a routine. So my breakfast meal is also my pre-workout meal. So you don't have to do this, but this is what I do. It works for me. I do Greek yogurt, non-fat, a banana. I do frozen strawberries, frozen blueberries, and some coconut oil mixed with water, blend it up. And I do that the night before. I weigh it out, 100 grams of banana. Measure it all out, put it in a blender, put it in my refrigerator. So first thing in the morning, I could just be like a zombie pretty much. What's going on here? I know, I just put the blender on the thing, put water in it, and boom, start. So now that's half of my meals for the day that are just completely routine for me. I don't even got to think about it. I'm just doing it, and they're super easy, right? So now half my meals are just autopilot. So I'm already halfway there. So I can do that on the weekend. I can do that on a Monday, Tuesday, whatever my routine is like, it's super easy to recreate that. So now the other 3 meals, that's where it starts to get tricky, right? So you want to have 3 meals, or you want to have some meals that are just absolutely routine, that are easy, and then these other 3 meals, you want to have them routine as well, right? So now we take the amount of calories that we need per day, the amount of macros that we need per day, we split them up into the meals. It doesn't really matter that much where the macros and the calories go, as long as by the end of the day, they're where they need to be. That's the most important thing, right? So we can get into a little bit more about when it starts to matter. That's going to be later on. So now I have 3 meals, right? And then a really good way to make sure that your meals, that you're going to be on top of your meals, is to, 1, know exactly what you're going to eat and exactly when you're going to eat them. So I do my breakfast meal 2 hours before I work out, my post-workout meals at the gym as soon as I'm finished working out. My first, like for real meal, or my third meal of the day, I do it at sometime between 1 and 3 o'clock, usually around 2, but sometimes between 1 and 3, sometime between 1 and 3. The next meal is at 6. The next meal is at 8. Bedtime meal is at 10, and then I go to bed. So I eat when it's time to eat, and that makes it a lot easier for me to not snack. It makes it easier for me to not add in extra calories that are unplanned on my diet. You don't have to do it. I don't do it exactly at 6 p.m. every single day. Maybe it's 6:15, maybe it's 5:45, maybe it's 6:30, but I try to do it at 6 o'clock every single day. I know that if I'm out somewhere and I'm just like running errands or doing some dumb shit, and like, cool, yo, it's 5:15. Okay, cool. I need to be like kind of wrapping up what I'm doing. I got a meal sometime in the next hour or so. And you don't have to be insanely strict about it, but when you set up on times, it's a lot easier to stick to a routine. But you can be a little bit flexible with the time, right? So now I eat the same exact meals every single day and with the same exact macros. And I adjust the macros based on different training days. So if I'm not training that day, I didn't burn as many calories, so I don't need as many calories. That's kind of I get into a little bit more advanced stuff. But I eat the same exact meals every single day. And people, like, you could eat lobster or whatever your favorite meal is every single day, you're gonna get sick of it. You could eat pizza every day, you're gonna get sick of it. So, but since I have these 6 meals, I'm like backwards on the thing. Anyway, I have these 6 meals, and when I get sick of a meal, I just replace that one meal with a new meal. So I do a lot of rice. I have like a rice cooker, and if you're just eating plain rice, you're gonna get sick of that real quick. Okay. But anyway, you got rice, and I'll put in like some adobo, which is a seasoning. I'll put in some cayenne pepper. I'll put in some garlic powder. I'll try some different seasonings just to jazz up the rice a little bit. And there's lots of different ways to jazz up the rice without additional calories. So I do a lot of rice. I also do a lot of fish. Right? I live in Florida. There's local fish markets everywhere. I go to the same fish market all the time. It's awesome. So white fish, chicken breast, 99.1 ground turkey, uh, shellfish. These are all like 1-to-1 calories and grams, right? So if I need 4 ounces of chicken and I'm getting sick of chicken, I can do 4 ounces of white fish, and it's the same, more or less, right? But if I need 4 ounces of chicken, I can't do 4 ounces of salmon as an equal, because salmon has a lot of fat in it. So we have your like really lean proteins, the ones I just mentioned, egg whites, super lean, but egg whites are gross. If you like them, do them. But to just eat as a straight up meal, for me, I would eat a lot, and they're gross. So egg whites and all the things I mentioned are awesome, super lean proteins. We're gonna put those as just pure protein. Maybe there's a little bit of carbs. It's like a negligible amount of carbs and fat. Pure protein. Then you have your lean proteins that are like 99.3 ground beef. You have your flank steak, top sirloin, salmon, tuna, things that are like lower fat red meats, and higher fat fish are kind of the same, but you have to figure those out separately. We'll get into that as well. So anyway, I build these meals. All right, so I have half my meals are on autopilot, and then I have 3 meals a day that I got to worry about. So I'll cook a big batch of rice. I'll do my fish for maybe 2 meals, and then one of the meals I usually have some sort of red meat or like ground game meats like elk or venison or 99.3 beef or something like that, and some vegetables, whatever. So when I get sick of a meal, I just swap out the one meal for a new meal. But I keep the macros the same, and I try to keep the food choices relatively the same. The first step is keeping the food choices the same, but changing the way you cook it. Right? So if I need chicken breast, I can bake it, I can air fry it, I can cut it into strips and make little like chicken nuggets out of it. I can cook it in a crock pot and put some like hot sauce and 0-calorie blue cheese in there and mix it all up, make like a buffalo chicken. There's a million different ways to cook chicken that aren't adding additional calories. So that's the first step that you want to do, is how do I take the same exact food that I'm already eating, so I don't have to change my routine at all. I don't have to change the things I buy at the grocery store at all. I don't have to go to a different grocery store. I'm just going to change the way that I cook my food. That's the first step. And chicken, there's a million ways to cook chicken. White fish, there's a million ways to cook white fish. Shellfish. There's a million ways to cook these things, so you just gotta get a little bit creative with it. Then rice, you can say, okay, I'm just kind of getting sick of rice. Well, you can do potatoes. Potatoes are like awesome. There's lots of different things that are going to be just carbs. You can even do things like English muffins, right? Not everything has to be like, oh, well, aren't English muffins processed foods? Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, it's better than eating a bag of chips, right? It's better than it's. How do we just make the most important thing from a health standpoint is giving your body the right amount of calories and the right amount of macronutrients that it needs and the right amount of micronutrients that it needs, right? So if you're only eating English muffins, then yeah, it's probably not so good. But we got a bunch of meals a day that we can add in vegetables and fruits, and we can take a multivitamin. There's ways to fill in the micros and to make life a little bit more manageable, right? So if we're doing one meal a day where it's like, you know what, I got this English muffin and I'm gonna toast it, and I have this like pulled chicken that I made, and I'm gonna make this like chicken sandwich and it's delicious. That's a win. Versus like, oh no, I can't eat bread. I can't. You can eat that stuff, right? But you just got to measure it out to make sure that you're getting the right amounts. So English muffins, I just as an example because most of them are very very low in fat, so they can even swap. Potatoes, same thing. So I can find a list. I have a list somewhere. I can put a list in the group for you guys. Here's a list of carbs. Here's a list of proteins. Here's a list of fats, and it just makes life a lot easier. So that's the best way to do it. Eating on a schedule, being not being crazy about it, but like eating on a schedule, having your foods pre-planned out ahead of time. So I know like I have a big ass thing of rice in my refrigerator right now. I made it yesterday. So I make a big thing of rice every couple days, and when I'm like I always want to know what I'm going to eat tomorrow today. So right before this call, not right before, but I was kind of like, I didn't get a chance to go to the store because this fish market, they were closing. And I was like, yo, if I don't get this one thing from the fish market, it's going to make the rest of my meals tonight and tomorrow in the morning just kind of suck because I'll get through it, but it's going to be not enjoyable. So they had this like canned like crab meat. It's kind of fire actually. But anyway, I just put a little bit of that in with some fish and some rice. And so I air fry the fish. I got my rice. And if I just put it on a plate and heat it up, like reheated rice kind of sucks for me. I'm not a big fan of it. So I reheat the rice, I reheat the fish, I put a pan on, I spray it, and then I put it in the pan, and then I kind of like almost like stir fry it, and it just gives a little bit of different texture. So you can change the texture, you can change the taste, there's lots of different ways to change the same exact meal to make exactly the same. But once you find something that works, you don't really need to go off and do like crazy stuff, right? So let's say that's 6 meals a day for me, 7 days a week. So am I eating those meals every single day? No. Well, if you want to be a normal human being and like have any sort of like, you don't want to be someone you don't want to be a slave to your diet where it's like, oh, I can't do this. I can't go do this thing on the weekend with my friends because of my meals, right? So how do we figure out when it's going to be the best time to go off, when it's going to be the best time to be strict about it? So during the week, let's just say you're a normal person and you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Most people have some sort of normal working schedule. Doesn't have to be Monday through Friday, but you get what I'm saying. These are the days that I work. Okay, cool. Well, those should be routine. Like if you're like, oh, but I just love going out to eat. Like you love going out to eat on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Like what are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like there's going to be certain things where it's just so much easier for your life to be on a routine. Work, all that stuff, which is like, here's my kind of mundane routine. I'm gonna do it exactly the same all the time. That's when you want to be the most strict because you're not really losing anything, and you're just gonna be benefiting because you're gonna get a lot more energy. You're probably gonna be better at work. You're gonna feel better. Your workout's gonna get better. You're gonna be building momentum, and it's easy to stick to a routine when that routine is gonna be there no matter what. Now the weekends, that's when people typically go off the rails. So I had a conversation with somebody earlier this week or whatever, relatively recently, about this exact same thing. So on the weekends, like, okay, what do you do? Well, Saturday I like to go out with my friends. Okay, cool. Saturday night, Saturday morning, you go out for brunch, afternoon. Like, what's your schedule looking like? Well, normally it's like later afternoon. Okay, cool. Well, we can still do. How many meals can we do that are on the same exact routine? We got our breakfast down, right? You got to wake up and eat breakfast. Yeah, I can do that. Okay, cool. Let's do breakfast and let's do meal 2, and we'll at least hit those 2, and then the rest of the meals. Let's just say you're off the rails for the rest. Let's say Saturday and Sunday, you eat your first and second meals, and then your next 4 meals are off the rails. Like, it's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot better because you did Monday through Friday, perfect 6 meals, and then you do your first 2 meals on Saturday and Sunday, and it's way better than not having any structure to your meals whatsoever, right? Like, way, way better. So now what's going to happen is your body is going to start to adjust, being like, hey, my diet is already better. Your body's going to start making progress. And then what's going to happen is you're going to plateau. Okay, cool. Now we need to be a little bit more strict. So what we can do is we can say, okay, well, can we do 3 meals? Can we do our first 3 meals on the weekends better? Yeah, I can do that. Cool. All right, let's do that, and then let's see what happens. Body's going to start making adjustments, and you're going to start losing some weight, losing some fat, then you're going to plateau again. So we're going to just tighten the screws, and every time you tighten the screws, your body's going to make progress. And then it's going to plateau. And then in order to make more progress, you tighten the screws more. So there's different ways to do that. So if you're not really doing it, if there's no real reason to go off the rails, you want to try to be disciplined with your diet. But life happens. Sometimes people are like stress eating. I know for me, I'm a stress eater. I'm like a depressed eater, right? When I'm like not feeling good about myself, that's when I tend to eat, because it's not so much I'm like, oh, I just need to like eat myself into a coma. It's like I don't really have the energy to get up and cook a meal for myself. If a meal was brought to me, it's like, here's your bowl of fish and rice. Here you go. It's already cooked. You can have it right now. Or you can have this pizza. I'm probably going to pick the fish and rice. But I can't, from my couch, Uber Eats a fucking fish and rice meal, right? So that's why having this stuff planned ahead of time is going to be way better, because at least it's so easy to just be like, okay, we already have it. I just need to heat it up. But sometimes I don't even want to do that, right? But that's rare, right? So the point is, you want to try to be as disciplined as you possibly can, but also understand that like we're human beings, right? Like sometimes like it's not always going to be perfect, and that's okay. So the worst thing that you can do is, when things aren't perfect, is to beat yourself up about it, because then what happens is the shame cycle of, now I feel bad about myself because I'm not perfect on my diet, and now I feel bad about myself, so I'm going to eat this shitty food, and then I just did that, and now I feel even worse, and then I'm going to do that again and again and again and again and again. Instead of just being like, you know what? It's better to focus on the victories and not the failures. The failures are just lessons. Hey, here's what happened. What can I learn from this to be better for next time? That's it, right? So if you're like, this is what happened, here's what I need to learn for next time, and I'm a horrible human being because I made this mistake, that's the problem. It's applying good and bad to something when something just happened and that's it. This is just a data point, but now you're looking at it as something different than a data point. You're attaching your value to this decision that was made. That's a very normal decision, right? Like, I'm literally a professional. This is my job, and I go off the rails. Every person that I know who's a professional goes off the rails. The difference is those people just get back on the rails faster than other people, right? So the biggest thing that we want to remove is the mental health aspect to it, because then this is what happens, right? If you can get to a mindset where it's like, yeah, I just ate that pizza. Okay, well, my next meal I'm going to do, that's fine. My next meal I'm going to just try my best. Okay, no problem. If you can just move on from that and just be like, yeah, that was pizza. It was fucking banging. Hell yeah, no problem. What's going to happen next is the next meal, it's, do you really want the pizza again? Do you want to go order that again? You can if you want. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, if I can, I don't really want to. Let me just eat this other thing. You know, you start to make better food choices by your own free will, instead of being like this, like, instead of having this like mental health component to it of like, I need to eat more to make myself feel better, and I feel bad because of this bad decision that I made about food, and then it's this downward spiral, and that's what we want to avoid. So it's just about giving yourself a little bit of grace and understand, I'm not going to go step on stage at a bodybuilding competition. I'm not trying to be Mr. Olympia. So if I am trying to be Mr. Olympia, then yeah, like, you really can't fuck up your diet. That's just how it goes. But none of us are trying to do that, right? So None of us are trying to be Mr. Olympia. So there's going to be a lot of flexibility for us. And this is, I did that cut. I don't know if you guys saw I posted about it. I did a cut for 4 months. And this is how it went for me. Could I have had better and faster results in that time period? Maybe. On paper, yeah, for sure. But in execution, I don't know. If I was like overly strict with it, maybe I would have went off the rails and I would have been worse than what happened. But I mean, I'm pretty stoked about what happened. So this is how it started. Okay, here's my meals. I got everything that I just talked about. I did, and I'm like, oh, I have like these little pretzels. Let me eat like a couple handfuls of pretzels after this meal. Okay, cool, no problem. Let me eat a couple rice cakes after this meal. That was in the beginning, and I was starting to lose weight because now I went from like having no structure to structure, and I had some snacks in there, and I was still making progress. And then it's like, oh, my progress is starting to slow down. Now instead of having like a couple handfuls of, I do these little mini rice cakes. So if I do like a couple handfuls of mini rice cakes and pretzels, now instead of a couple handfuls, let me just do one handful. Okay, cool. Now I'm starting to make progress again. But by the end, it was like, no, I can't. If I want to continue to make progress, I can't do that. So it's just about tightening the screws over time. But I wasn't beating myself up about it in the beginning because I was making progress. So that's how that stuff goes. And it's the same exact thing when you are trying to gain weight, being in a surplus. It's like, okay, now I'm trying to treat it just like I am cutting. I'm trying to be disciplined about it because you can go off the rails and start to gain too much weight, and it's not the way that you want to gain. So when people are trying to bulk, you want to try to be building mostly muscle. You're going to gain fat, that's just how it goes. But the ratio, you want it to be as low as possible with fat. So you're just going to feel better. You're going to feel better energy-wise by having the right amount of energy come in and out of your body. So once you start feeling better, so let's go back to my cut. So I did my cut for 4 months, feeling really good. But I was like mentally, I was like just kind of drained. And for the next week, I like slowly started to go off the rails. By like day 5, I like Uber Eats like 3 meals. I felt like absolute shit. Like I didn't feel like shame. I felt like actual shit. Like I didn't have any energy. My brain was so foggy. I didn't want to do anything. But I felt so bad because I was feeling so good for so long. And I felt so bad. It was just like this stark difference. And I was like, I don't want to feel like that again. I was like, let me get back on my diet. So here's where I'm at now. Where I'm at now is I still hit all my meals. And I had like a couple little things of crackers. I had like a half a banana and I sliced that up, put some peanut butter on there. So am I following it like exactly to the T? No. But I'm just like letting myself be a little bit relaxed about it right now. And I'm still watching the scale. I have like the numbers for my weight. Okay, if I go past this number, I know I need to tighten it up again. So when we're making progress, you want to be real strict. Then we can go through periods of being strict and being flexible. But even when we're being strict, you can still be a little bit flexible. So they call it the 80-20 rule. If 80% of your meals are exactly how they need to be, good quality foods, and then 20% are a little bit off the rails, that's okay. There's no problem. You're gonna make a lot of progress. And then once that progress stops, then we start to really dissect, okay, what's really going on here? Well, at nighttime I eat a Halo Top ice cream. All right, well, that's like 350 calories. It's not really the end of the world, but if you want to keep going, the reality is we need to cut the calories down somewhere. So we can remove some calories from some earlier meals. If you just have to have the ice cream, we can remove some calories from, maybe 100 calories from this meal, 100 calories from that meal, 100 calories from that meal. Now we're only plus 50 instead of plus 350. We can do a little bit of extra cardio. We can do some conditioning. We can burn some calories somewhere else, or we can just cut the Halo Top down to half a thing, or maybe we do the Halo Top every other day, right? So there's lots of different ways to do it. But the point is, you want to be as strict as possible when there's real no reason to not be strict, and then the rest of the time you can kind of chill out and be a little bit like, okay, I'm a normal person. I don't want to be going everywhere with a Tupperware and at like a French restaurant eating out of a Tupperware, and my friends are like being normal human beings, right? So a lot of people ask, hey, so I just love sweets. How do I like deal with that? Okay, cool. Let's say whatever your cravings are, whatever things that you crave, the best way to do it is to put that in your diet regularly. Let's say it's ice cream. I just love Ben & Jerry's ice cream. It's like, all right, let's really break this down. Do you really love Ben & Jerry's ice cream? Or like what do you love about it? Do you love the fact that like it tastes good? Do you love like the sugar? Do you love like the relaxation? Do you love the like kind of stress release that comes from it? Like what about it do you really like? I don't know, man. I just feel like I just like to sit down and be like, oh man, I don't know. It just makes me feel good when I eat. Okay, cool. Like, can we do like a Ben? Can we do like can we do ice cream that's maybe like lower calories? What about Halo Top? Try Halo Top. Do you get the same feeling from Halo Top? All right, I'll try it. It's not exactly the same, but it still kind of hits. All right, cool. Now we went from 1,200 calories for a pint to 350 calories for a pint, right? So there's going to be a lot of ways to figure out like what how do I make how do I make these things that I really enjoy? How do I make them low calories? How do I make them low calories? So there's a million different recipes. You like brownies? You can make protein brownies. You can make low calorie brownies. You can replace sugar with Splenda or stevia or monk fruit. But if you find something that this is just my thing, man. I just really like chocolate chip cookies. Or I really okay, cool. If you like them so much, why don't you learn how to make them yourself? Learn how to make them yourself so you can control the ingredients that go in there. You can control the calories that go in there, and then just eat them. Like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, you eat them every day. Just make them into the macros that you need. So instead of for me doing oatmeal at night, maybe you do chocolate chip cookies. But if you go out and buy Chips Ahoy, you're not really controlling the calories necessarily. But there's the point is there's a million different recipes out there that have low calorie recipes or low calorie and high protein recipes and things like that for all the things that you love. And you'll find that it does kind of hit the spot. So I'm more of a salty guy, and I used to make these little flatbreads, these little pizza flatbreads. So I'll get like the flatbread itself was like super low calories. Put some like zero added sugar, tomato sauce in there. They make fat-free cheese. So I get fat-free mozzarella, and I get little turkey pepperonis and put them on there, and I would bake it. And is it the same as having like a regular pizza? No, but it's still fucking banging. That I'm like, it's something that I looked forward to, that I didn't feel the need to go, and I didn't feel like shit afterwards. So that's how you plug in the gaps of, I just really like this thing. Okay, cool. Well, first try making it yourself and controlling what goes in that. That's the first step, right? And somebody asked, how do I maintain the we kind of already talked about this, but how do I maintain once I get to my goals? Let's say, all right, my goal is to lose 20 pounds. How do I maintain that? Well, you just continue doing what you're doing, right? So, okay, I've cut down. Now this is my lifestyle. You continue doing that, but you can be a little bit more flexible. If you're so strict on getting down there, you can get down there really quickly. But that sucks, dude. Like, you're not going to enjoy that. So once you get down here, you're going to be like, cool, I got here. And it's going to last for like a minute. And then you're like going to go off the rails. You can go right back up to 20 pounds. So it's better to go low and slow and with a sustainable way of doing it, the way that I was just like describing. So that way when you get there, let's say your goal is I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, cool. Let's try to sustainably get to like 22 pounds or maybe 23 pounds. And we can go through little bursts where we're super strict and then maintain to sustainable little bursts and then sustainable. You can do it like that. That way you're sustainable. Let's say you get down to 23. Now you're sustainable. You're somewhere between like 20 and 18 or 22 and 18 pounds under where you started. And that's your kind of fluctuation point. So it's like, okay, I'm going to be strict when I'm going to be as strict as I can on times that don't really matter, right? During the week at like bringing my lunch to work, things like that. And I'm going to be super strict about that. And then, yeah, I'm just going to be a little bit more flexible. Maybe I don't measure as much on the weekends. And cool, now you're going from 22 pounds down and you're creeping up to 21, 20, 19, 18. Once you hit that 18 pounds, then it's like, okay, the weight is going to be my kind of like my guide, right? So I'm at 18, I need to get a little bit more strict. Let me do like a little mini cut. Going from 18 to 20 is no problem. And then you just kind of fluctuate between a range that you feel comfortable with doing. And that's how once you get to where you want to be, you just have a range instead of like, I need to be under 20 pounds and stay here forever. It's like, well, that's probably not going to happen because life's going to happen And again, it's all about like doing things in a way that you're not going to beat yourself up about and start this shame cycle. Make sense? So now there's going to be, we talked a little bit about this before, but there's going to be, how do I keep my cortisol levels down? How do I keep my stress? Cortisol is a stress hormone, right? It tells your body to store fat. It slows down your recovery time from workouts. It's something that a lot of people are just like super stressed all the time and their cortisol levels are through the roof. So if you ever have somebody that's like, yo, this person's just like on edge 24/7, their cortisol is probably really high. So here's some things that are going to help. Sleeping. Sleeping is one of the best things that you can do for weight loss because it keeps your cortisol levels down. It helps your body recover from workouts better. And when you're not as stressed, your mind is more clear and you make better decisions. When you're super stressed out, that's when you make impulsive decisions. And then once you're off the rails, once you make a couple impulsive decisions, eating some meals, it's easier to continue that cycle. It's easier to say, the more times you say yes, the easier it is to say yes. The more times you say no, the easier it is to say no. That's how it goes, right? So if you are going to kind of go back to what we were saying before, if you are going to have like a cheat meal or like you're going to go off the rails, the best time to do it is the last meal of the day. So people are like, well, it was right before bed. That doesn't fucking matter, okay? But what matters is staying on a routine. So you always want to, that's why I say breakfast is the most important meal. Not for all the reasons that people used to say breakfast is the most important meal, but because it sets the routine. So if the first meal of the day you wake up and you like have some crazy ass meal, what's going to happen is the rest of the day, you're going to be like, well, I already fucked up. Let me just do it again, again, and again. And then you're like, I'll just start tomorrow. So once you do a second meal that's fucked up, and you're like, well, this whole day is over. Let me just start again tomorrow. And the real answer is just get back on track as soon as possible. But the reality is you're not going to fucking do that, right? So if you're going to have a cheat meal, if you're going to have something that's off the rails, it's better to do it as close to the last meal of the day as possible or the second to last meal. Because it's easier to be like, all right, well, tomorrow, I'm going to get back on it tomorrow. All right, cool. Well, if you only went off the rails for one meal and get back on it tomorrow, there's really no big deal. Know what I mean? So anyway, back to the stress levels. Sleep, super important, right? So sometimes like some people have lives where it's like, yeah, dude, it's just difficult for me to get, you want me to get 8-9 hours of sleep? Like 7 to 9 hours is ideal, right? But sometimes that's hard. But again, it's going to come down to discipline of, is it really just something that is a real challenge for you because of your life is just so chaotic? Or is the challenge going to be, it's hard for me to get to sleep because I'm doom scrolling on my phone every night or because I'm up watching Netflix for the last few hours of the day and I get locked into something. Those are things that we can have the skills to change our routine around a little bit. You know, if you're like, bro, like sometimes for me, like I'm up working, sometimes I'm like do my whole thing, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. I just have this video I got to post tomorrow morning and I forgot to write a caption and I need to make a thumbnail. And like sometimes it takes me like 20 or 30 minutes. Then my brain is going and I'm like, dude, I'm already 30 minutes behind my bedtime, but now my brain is going. So by the time, sometimes that shit happens. But that's different than just like, I'm just scrolling through fucking TikTok and now it's an hour past my bedtime. And listen, I'm giving you guys this information, not as like, I'm sitting on my high horse. This is all shit that I do. Everybody does, right? So it's like, how do we eliminate that? And having some sort of like bedtime routine or ritual is going to be the way to go, right? So I know for me, by 9 o'clock, I try to go to bed by 10 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I try to have all my shit done for the day where it's like, okay, I can just relax and then have my little bedtime routine, right? So I start to make my shake for the next morning. So I start to weigh that stuff out. I'm start to move around and be like, okay, I'm doing all my moving around. I usually I usually put the protein in my little shaker cup that I'm gonna do for my post-workout meal. I basically get my meals ready. I kind of get my gym stuff ready for the next day. I kind of do like, okay, here I'm gonna brush my teeth. I'm gonna start all this stuff like an hour before I go to bed because I'm always gonna remember some shit that was supposed to do. But now it's starting to tell my brain, I start to turn out the lights. So you're going to start to get more tired if the lights are off. You don't need to be in a completely dark house, but turn off all the lights that don't need to be on other than the room that you're in. It's going to start to tell your brain. But when you go through these rituals, this is what I do all the time. your body's going to start to learn, oh, this is bedtime. This is the bedtime routine. Cool. And it's going to start to slowly wind itself down. So that way, when you do lay in bed, you're much more likely to fall asleep faster. It's not always going to happen, but it's going to happen way more times than being chaotic and being like, oh shit, I fell into another Netflix episode. Now I still got to do all this stuff that I just said I was going to do, but now my brain is doing this. So we want to start to get our brain to slowly start to calm down about the end of the night. So ideally, you'd be off of your phone 30 minutes before you go to bed. You know, do people actually do that? I don't fucking do that. I try to be off my phone as much as possible. But yeah, before bed, I try to stay off TikTok. I try to stay off Instagram because that's just like, stimulation. If I'm gonna be on my phone, you're just gonna be on like YouTube or something like that. Something a little bit more mellow. And I try to do a little 10-minute meditation or 10-minute breathing exercises at night, sometime between 9 and 10. Doesn't have to be immediately before I get in bed, right? But I do try to do it during that time frame. 10 minutes. So meditation is one of the best ways to decrease your cortisol levels. It's one of the best ways to relax yourself. It's one of the best ways to get yourself ready for bed. It's one of the best ways to train your mind. It's one of the best ways to stay off Channel 6 News from killing someone at work that's trying you on the regular. It's good to just control your mind. But it takes practice. But it's something that, like, if you make it part of your ritual and you just do it, this is just what I do. I can do all this stuff kind of on autopilot at this point because I just do the same thing every day. So meditation, you can look at it as like, oh, damn, there's another chore I have to do. And sometimes I do look at it like that. But once you get into it, it feels good. It feels good. So now it's something I look forward to doing it. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm stoked about this. So here's the best way to get into some sort of meditation or prayer or whatever it is that you want to do, something that has this meditative factors to it. And this is some guy who told me this, and I'll never forget it. You need a slot and a spot. Meaning you need a time slot that you do it, and you need to do the same spot and the same time as much as possible. So for me, my time is sometime between 9 and 10. And I have a little meditation chair that I bought, and it's pretty dope, actually. Super comfortable. So it's not like I got to like do this whole get up. I just got to go, boom, sit down and do it because everything's already set up. Literally, all I have to do is just sit, and then I put in headphones, and I'll listen to 10-minute meditation music on YouTube. I do the same one every time, and it's super easy. So for meditation, there's so many different things that you can do. Think of like exercise of like, well, I don't like exercising. What do you mean you don't like exercising? You've never even tried all the exercising. You don't like lifting weights? I hate lifting weights. All right, well then don't lift weights. I like to run. Cool, then run. You know what I mean? Like exercise is such a broad term, and so is meditation. So many different things that you can do. So to make it fun, I try to think about the things that I'm like grateful for in my life, but instead of like thinking about it logically, I try to just like feel it, and it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel good, and it's also like chilling my brain out, and I get to go to bed like I feel good about my life. But I also use it as like I call it a future me meditation, or you call it visualization. Who do you want to be, right? And envision yourself being that person right now, having the things that you want to have. It could be what kind of relationship do you want to have? What kind of house do you want to live in? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of job you want to have? Just like completely fantasy world. You don't have, there's no limits on it, and just close your eyes and just see that as it's happening right now, and just let your mind go wild. It's fun to be like, oh, this is cool. And if you do that every single day, or at least regularly, what's going to happen is you're going to start thinking about this stuff more regularly, and the decisions that you make throughout the day are going to be much more in line with the future you. So I say this all the time, like if you want to be a champion athlete, you need to act like a champion athlete now. Do what a champion does now, and then do that for a long period of time, and then you'll be a champion. You don't just show up to a meet and become a champion. You're a champion before you even step foot on the platform or the field or the court, whatever it is. Like being a champion comes from all the work leading up to that point. And it's someone who acted like a champion for a long period of time, and then the championship is just, okay, cool, I'm just cashing the check. I've been putting money in this bank account for a long time. So if you want to be a champion, you need to do what champions do way before the test comes. So if you want a better job, if you want to make more money, if you want better relationships, if you want whatever it is that you want in your life, if you start to think about this stuff, you need to act like the person who is already in that position now, and then it will come, right? So think about this. Like, I'm a professional lifter. I'm a professional coach. And sometimes I work out with people, and sometimes, a lot of times, people on the internet ask to work out with me, and they'll be like, "Oh, dude, I'm gonna be in the area. We should hit a workout sometime." Like, I usually don't respond because I just don't like. I don't really. There's nothing I can say without it coming off rude. But the reality is, like, why would I want to work out with you, dude? Like, you're only gonna slow me down. You're gonna make my workouts worse than if I were trained by myself. And it's gonna be awesome for you, but it's not gonna be awesome for me, right? But if a champion came through, if someone who's a fucking gangster and was like, "Yo," I'd be like, "Hell yeah, let's do it." So somebody that I see, they don't even have to be a champion. Somebody who just lifts really, really hard. It doesn't matter if you're good or not. If you lift really hard, and I say, "Oh, cool, this person's gonna benefit me," yeah, we can work out together for sure. And that's how everyone is super serious is. But the only reason that people up here are going to fuck with people down here, or is the people that are down here are acting like the people up here. And you don't need to be up here yet, but you need to act like you're up here. So this is where you can do these meditations. Just have fun with it. Throw the music in and just be like, cool. You can watch yourself doing some like dream PR that you have, and then you can really start to build this whole world. So it's like, cool, I'm gonna watch myself deadlifting this weight. And then you can kind of go through the steps and be like, all right, cool. I'm in it, dude. I'm grabbing my feet into the ground. I'm screwing them in. I'm like, pulling the tension out of the bar. I'm getting my lats in. Like, I'm kind of going through it. And then once you go through that routine, if you do it enough times, you're just going to immediately come back to it. The first time you do it, it's going to take a little bit of building in your mind. And then you say, okay, cool. Now the next time you go back to it, that's already built. It only takes a second to kind of see it again, right? So now we go, okay, cool. Now I feel good about this. Now it's okay. What music's playing? Are you got headphones in? Is there gym music playing? Where are you? Like, what's the setting? Cool. Okay, you just hit it. What's the feeling that you're gonna get? Who's around? Like, you can start to build this whole entire world. And really, what you're doing is you're just preparing yourself for bedtime. You'll sleep better. Your cortisol levels will be better. It'll help you to relax. It'll help you recover. It'll help with fat loss, not directly, but because we're doing this ritual that's getting us ready for bed, which will help us sleep better, which does directly help us with fat loss. So it's this whole cascade of events that happens because you decide to do something that's going to make you feel good. I'm just going to relax and chill. Instead of watching this one Netflix show, it's 9 o'clock. I need to start my ritual. It's 8 o'clock. I need to eat. It's this time. I do this thing at this time, right? And you don't need to be like, again, insanely strict with it. Oh, dude, it's 9:01. What the fuck? You know what I mean? It doesn't need to be like that. But they're just little triggers in your mind. That's little reminders, like a little thing on your phone. Hey, listen, you need to do something. Oh, fuck, that's right. I forgot. I'm watching this show. All right, well, just watch the rest of it tomorrow, dude. It's not going anywhere. You've got 3 more seasons to go anyway. You're not going to finish the whole show tonight. Put it on pause, do your ritual, and then hit it again tomorrow. Right? So it's not about, oh, stop watching Netflix, stop doing this. It's not about that. It's about stop letting those things interfere with the things that you really want in your life. And once you're doing the things that are going in, when you're acting the way that you want to be, your stress levels are lower because you know, hey, I'm doing all the things that I can do. I can't do more. So I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I'm trying as hard as I can, and I'm grateful. Again, I do these methods. Dude, I'm fucking killing it, man. Good job. That's just time that you have with yourself, and this is what I call looking in the mirror. At the end of the day, you have to look at yourself in the mirror before you go to bed, metaphorically. And you're either going to be proud of that person or you're not. And whatever people tell you, good or bad, that shit doesn't even really matter. It's how you feel about yourself. And those feelings that you get are real, no matter what they are. So you get to choose every single day. Do I want to do the things today? What are the things I need to do today so I can feel proud of myself at the end of the day? You don't need to go do these monumental things every single day. It's doing the little things. And some days you're going to do 10 little things, and some days you're going to do one little thing, and some days you're going to do 12, and some days you're going to do 0. They're going to go up and down, but you should at least be trying your best. And the skills to actually execute on these things are doing things on like time triggers. Hey, this is when I eat, this is when I do this, this is when I do that. And understand, hey, I'm not going to do this 7 days a week. I'm going to fuck up sometimes, do whatever, who cares? But like overall, like my discipline is pretty good. I think an average person, if they were to look at my life, they'd be like, damn, this motherfucker is disciplined as hell. But me, I'm like, dude, come on, I could be like, I'm like like overanalyzing myself. But one thing that I've gotten really good at lately, especially in the last few years, is not beating myself up about for being perfect, because it ain't gonna be perfect. But I'm going in the direction I want to go. Cool, I feel really good about that. I used to live in a crack house like 5 years ago. I don't anymore, so that's cool. I feel really good about that, right? You can think about those types of things. 5 years ago, the person that you're doing, the person that you are right now, you're going to keep going down this direction. And let's say we fast forward 2 years from now, you're going to be, if you continue this stuff, you're going to be in a way different spot. But 2 years from now, when you're in that way different spot, you're not going to feel grateful for where you are, because you're already thinking about the next thing that you want to do, which is fine, right? So, but it's also, you want to slow down and be like, you know what? I'm doing way better than I was last year. I'm doing way better than I was 2 years, whatever. Look how far I've come. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be proud of myself for being in the position that I'm in now. It's not ultimately where I want to be, and that's okay. But like, I'm going to stop and smell the roses every now and again, because the achievements aren't going to be what makes you happy. It's how do I fall in love with this process that I do with my life every single day? And discipline is the ultimate form of self-love, which is, I'm going to do the things that are best for me and the things that I really want to do with my life. And I'm going to try my best to not let the things that make me feel good right now, I'm not going to sacrifice the things that I really want for the things that I only want right now. And I'm going to try my best every single day, but I'm a human. I'm not going to be perfect. I'm going to fail. I'm going to fall flat on my face sometimes. Sometimes I'm only going to do half the things. Sometimes I'm going to do all of the things. Sometimes I'm going to do a couple of the things. But overall, I'm at least trying. I'm getting up every single day, and I'm trying my best, and I'm going to try to learn the skills. And if you just do that every single day, you will continue to progress in every single area of your life that you try that stuff with. Dieting, nutrition, work, anything. You can do anything. You can go anywhere. You can be anybody you want to be. And this is how you do it. It's saying, what do I need to do first? Okay, how do I execute that? Well, we were talking about the meals. I eat at this time. I eat these meals. This meal sucks. Let me put a new meal in, just one meal at a time. And just taking little baby steps, but slowing things down, like being really fast and aggressive about doing shit, but also slowing down enough to be like, hey, I actually like this, man. So for me, it makes me feel really good about myself when I put in like a full day of work. And my job's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. But like, it's also not as easy as it sounds. Like, I get fucking assholes all the time. And like some dude, like I told some dude, he's like, say he's struggling to gain 10 pounds. Like, yeah, dude, hit me up in a DM. I'll help you out. So he was like talking, I was like, oh, this is how it works. He's like, no, that's not how it works. I was like, all right, dude. I was like, okay. I was like, I'm just trying to help, man. It's like, dude, fuck you, man. Like, I just went out of my way to, like, my DMs are filled with people, to go out of my way to help you for free. And your first response is some dickhead response, which is clearly right. All I said was, yeah, if you want to gain more weight, you need to get serious. He said it for his diet, he's just winging it. I was like, yeah, you just need to, like, really figure out what your maintenance calories are, and eat a little bit above that, and just do whatever, like, slowly a little bit more times. Nope, tried that, doesn't work. It's like, okay, all right, dude. But anyway, when I put in a full day of work, I feel good about myself. And sometimes it's like, okay, I come home, I'm tired as fuck from the gym, and then I get like hate comments, I get shitty DMs like that. I'm just like, bro, I could do whatever I want. I could go lay down on the couch for the rest of the day, and sometimes I do that. And I don't feel good about myself at the end of the day when I do that. Even though in the moment I do. I feel good about myself when it's like, whatever. I just crushed it at the gym. I have some awesome content. I need to make some good captions, some good thumbnails. I'm going to get a shower. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go food shopping. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go down to the coffee shop. I'm going to boom, boom, boom. I'm going. Now I'm doing this call. When I'm finished with this, I got to eat again. I got laundry that I got to fold. I got to do this. Boom, boom. 9 o'clock done. I'm like, I feel like, man, that must be exhausting. I'm like, yeah, it is exhausting. That's why I like it. I feel good because it needs to get done. I have to do my laundry, right? I can't just wear dirty clothes. So if I get it done, then when that 9 o'clock comes, I feel good. Or sometimes I get it done at 7 o'clock. I'm like, you know what? Now I can watch Netflix and just be like, oh yeah, this is great. Versus watching the Netflix and knowing that I have more things that I should be doing. So I'm technically relaxing, but it's not very restful because I'm not at peace because I'm agitated inside because I know I should be doing something different versus no, I crushed it today, dude. I've been working from the time I got up until now. I got everything done, and there's always more to do, but this is what I said I was going to do today. Hell yeah, dude. I feel good about myself. And that's how you do it. And just know, yeah, some days you're going to get your dick kicked in. That's fine. That's part of the process, right? So any more questions for me? Good to go. All right, so this is what we're going to do. Quick recap for the diet. You need to know maintenance. You need to be in a calorie deficit. 300 to 500 calorie deficit is ideal. If you're a lot smaller, then you probably want a smaller deficit. 300 to 500 calories. That way, if let's say your deficit is 500 and you kind of fuck things up and maybe only 100 calorie deficit that day, dude, awesome, great job. You're still in a deficit. It's a 500 calorie goal deficit, right? So then you have your meals. You want to have your breakfast on point every single day. You want to have that planned out the night before. You want to know this is a super easy meal that I can know that I can do even when I'm tired, even when I don't feel like it. This is an easy meal that I actually like and I enjoy because that's going to set the tone. I'm going to start with a small win. I'm just going to stack wins all day. I'm going to stack small wins. I don't need to do anything massive. I'm just going to do small win after small win because that's going to motivate me. It's going to make me feel good. So I want to keep doing that. And when I feel good, I do more. And when I do more, I feel good. And now I'm starting this positive cycle of things that are going well for me. Then you have as many meals that are on autopilot as possible. On days when you're working, try to be as strict as possible because what else are you doing? The only reason that you're going off the rails is because you didn't plan ahead of time. So plan ahead of time, have a couple bulk meals, and know how to swap out those meals. I'm getting sick of chicken, let me put in fish. I'm getting sick of chicken, let me cook it differently. Let me find some sauces, G. Hughes, right? Ton of super low calorie or 0 calorie sauces, Flavor God, seasonings are off the charts, 0 calories. There's lots of different things that are in like the dieting world that make it super easy. You like sweets, add Splenda. So I have like this like keto flour, and sometimes I'll make like a pancake I'll put Splenda in there, I put the keto flour, put some like peanut butter in there, and it's just fire to be like on Sunday morning, instead of going out and eating like a whole fucking stack of pancakes from a place that's got a million bazillion calories, let me just eat this pancake because I can measure out, I can put protein powder in there, I can make it the macros that I want, and it's good, and I feel good. I don't feel like shit when I eat it. Cool, stacking wins, and understand that you're going to be as strict as possible as much as you can, but allow some leeway. Understand where you typically fail the most. Okay, Saturdays and Sundays, afternoons and on is typically when I fail the most. Okay, cool. Well, let's just be okay with that for right now. Let's get until the Monday through Friday is on point. Let's not beat ourselves up about the weekend. But we're still going to get breakfast. We're still going to get as many meals as we can on the weekend in first. And then if we want to go off the rails, cool, we'll do that. We'll see what happens. We'll measure the progress. We'll measure things. And then once that starts to plateau, then we need to tighten the screws a little bit. And then we plateau again. And then it's just a matter of tightening the screws. And then we get to where we want to be. All right, cool. It's kind of where I want to be. But now I have a range of weight or whatever it is. Here's a range I want to stay in. I said I wanted to lose 20 pounds. I got to 22. So now when I get up to, once I start being a little bit relaxed on my diet, I'm probably going to gain a little bit of weight, but that's okay. But once I get to 18 under, I'm going to be like, okay, code red. Let me get real strict about it again. Now I'll get back down to 20. And we want to stay within this range. And then if you want to do another cut, you can do like another cut, like a 6-week cut. Cool. Now I'm going to push it down even farther. So now you can go through these little cycles of being real strict, a little more flexible, real strict, a little more flexible, and that's going to be a way more sustainable way of doing it over time, because sometimes it's really easy to be strict, and then sometimes we go through seasons of life that are not so favorable, and it's just hard to do that. Shit's going on, dude. I just got fired from my fucking job. I feel like shit, whatever. All right, cool, dude. Let's try the best you can, but let's still stay within this range and understand, we're probably gonna put on a little bit of weight. It's all right. And then we're gonna keep our stress levels down by trying to meditate, trying to sleep, trying to drink our water, right? That's putting oil in the car. You don't want to drive an engine with no oil in it. And use the meditation as like your fun time to be like, cool, dude, I'm gonna just like envision my life, dude. Like I'm gonna envision my life exactly the way that I want it, and I'm just gonna have fun with it. And I'm not gonna put any pressure on myself about it. I'm just gonna have fun. It's gonna be a really enjoyable experience every time I sit down to meditate. And what's gonna happen is, say you do 10 minutes. What's gonna happen is you have this vision in your mind, then your mind's gonna start to wander. Oh shit, I forgot to do this. Okay, cool. Well, we're not doing that. We made this commitment for 10 minutes. We're not gonna do that right now. So what's happening is that's just mental weakness. That's okay. You're losing the focus. No big deal. Cool. Let me bring it back to the vision. Just like you're not going to go in the gym first day to be the strongest person in the world. You're not going to be able to make it 10 minutes the first day. So, okay, I made it 2 minutes. Okay, no problem. Cool. Let's try it again. Next time, let's try to go 2 minutes and 1 second. And then you're just going to get better and better with your focus over time. But the whole point is, let me start to this bedtime ritual. Let's start to bring my brain activity down. Let me try to relax, turn the lights off, do this ritual where it's just like, this is just what I do because I have to do it anyway, but this is when I'm going to start that time, and I'm going to give myself plenty of time. If I'm going to bed at 10, I'm going to start at 9 because I'm going to do all this stuff, and then, yeah, I got 30 minutes. Cool, I'm going to fuck off on my phone for 30 minutes and go to bed. Or what's going to happen is, oh, cool, I got everything done. Let me fuck off on my phone. Oh, 5 minutes in. Oh, shit, I forgot trash day tomorrow morning. Cool, now you got plenty of time instead of laying in bed and being like, fuck. And that's what keeps you from sleeping. You should be a life coach. Yeah, life coach, Red. Let's do it. All right, appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I'm going to try to keep doing these. Appreciate you for showing up. If you're not in the private Facebook group, you should get in there. And I try just put in like questions. Hey, can you talk about this next time? And if I don't know it, I'll just look it up. So if you give me some advance notice, I can at least find the answer.